Greetings, peace. It is Tonya. I'm out here outside. It is hot. Out here to do I guess I'm calling this tarot talk or tarot wisdom or what have you. This is the second one. This is August 9th, 2021. So this is the word that is coming to me today. And if you watch this after August 9th and it resonates with you, it's all good. So I'm about to pull a couple of cards. But before I do, there was a couple of things that came to me that I wanted to share. And I was going to try to just kind of talk it out. And I kept like rambling too long. So I'm just going to read what I have. But it's about some of the changes that we are experiencing globally. And when I would listen to some of like the people, intuitive people that I trust or tune into, they were feeling, it's interesting, they were feeling kind of the same thing that I was feeling. So I'm just going to read to you some of the notes that I wrote down. Why does this thing keep sliding? Ugh. Anyway, whatever. um and then so I'll read some of what came to me, and then I will let you all just kind of take it from there. But what I wrote down is that things may not be the same, that gradual but definite change is inevitable at this time for us on this planet Earth here. That it is a time for simplifying, like simplifying your life. I think with there's this eagerness, right, to get back to the way things were, let's say 2019, 2018. And because of that eagerness, some of us may be overlooking the fact that change is inevitable. And so that going back is probably not going to happen, but that's not a bad thing. We cannot fear change. We cannot fear progression. We cannot fear evolution, and so simplifying our lives, the more we try to hold on to the way things were, whether it's in the global environment or whether it's just in your own personal life, and that change is happening, the more you try to hold on to the way things were, the more complicated and more difficult and more challenging life is going to be. So with this thing keeps sliding down. Anyway, let me see if I can fix that. Anywho, the eagerness to go back to the way things were, it could be a real challenge for a lot of people because it's going to keep you holding on to the past. What it's making me think about is like, you ever study history and you study how like when great changes were happening, and it's like there are some people who were just kind of fell behind because they were trying to hold on to exactly the way things were in every single aspect of their lives. And so that's actually going to it makes life more complicated when you try to do things like that, right? And so likewise, even now, it's like we have to get into the flow of certain changes that are occurring to keep our lives simple. So one of the things I wrote down is to simplify, and also know that simplification does not mean lack. A lot of times it's like, no, I don't want to simplify. I don't want to, get to the core, to the basics, because I need this and I want this and I got to have that and I need, all of these things. And I think that right now, or at least in the months to come, as we progress throughout the year, is going to be imperative that we know what actually matters and hold on to those things. It's not to say we can't have nice things or luxuries or have all these amazing experiences. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that this is a time to really know what our core values are, what really matters, and reach for those things, hold on to those things. Also, what was coming to me was your relationships. Our relationships are going to be vital during this time, as they always are, but even more so, people who share the same core values. Now, they may not have everything that you have. You may not have everything that they have. Obviously, no two people are alike, so there's going to be differences. But have you noticed, even like with your closest friends, sometimes you're nothing alike, and yet you're exactly alike in the areas of life that matter most. So that's what's going to be important, because what we may find is that instead of each one of us needing to have everything for ourselves, being able to function where where you can reach to your friend, your brother, your sister, whoever, to have what you need. So much going on, y'all. In other words, what I'm saying in essence is that bartering may become important, and I'm not talking about just in terms of money, because I know sometimes people think just you know bartering in that way. I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying that we just may find that in the next few months or next year or so, that when you try to acquire everything strictly on your own, that's over complicating your life. That's not simplifying. That's not simplification. That's you overexerting, overextending, and wearing yourself down. Whereas your brother, your sister, your friend, whoever might have what you need, and it's just a matter of you then connecting with them, and you providing what they need, and they providing what you need, and that whole reciprocal thing. You know what I mean? So that may be important in the the months to come. Also, when we see things going on that seem harmful, that seem detrimental to our health, money, mind, body, and spirit, it could be very easy to see that and become very, very fearful, become very, very thinking that you can't handle it. And I really feel like for a lot of us, it may just be the time to realize that some of the things that we're seeing won't touch you, won't really affect you in that way, but it is a sign to get certain areas of your life together, get certain areas of your life, in tune. So, for example, there's this ongoing health issue that's going on in the world, and so you may not ever actually be impacted, but it doesn't mean to minimize what's going on in the world. It just means to say, okay, if that's what's happening, what do I need to do right now to keep myself in optimal health, to keep myself well and vital and strong. So, and I'm saying that, I know that sounds super simple, but I'm saying that because there's always like two sides. Like you see what's going on and you're afraid of it, and you're afraid something's going to happen to you personally, or you don't know how you'll handle that. Or the flip side, it's just total denial. It ain't happening out here, and it's like, maybe it is happening, and even if it doesn't impact you, when things happen in the world around you, take that as a sign. It makes me think about, when you were a child. Let's just say if you had siblings and you saw your siblings doing something that was going to get them in trouble, you didn't do the same thing, right? You just took that as a sign to know what not to do, and to prepare and to protect yourself from that spanking, right? So likewise, when we see certain things happening in the world, whether it happens to you or not, it's really it's a signal, it's a sign to make sure that your own house, and when I say your house, your actual physical body, your mind, your spirit, your soul, all parts of you are in order. It's not necessarily for you to be fearful. It's not necessarily to be worried. It's not necessarily to, all of this other kind of stuff. It's just a sign that, okay, this is what's occurring. Let me get myself together. And not just with health issues, with all areas of life right now. I really feel strongly that over the next few months, it's like, okay, what am I going to need? What's going to matter the most? Like if I don't, you might want a luxury car, for example, right? And I love luxury stuff. So I'm not talking against that. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, just, you know, bare minimum for everything. I'm not saying that at all. But, there might be certain things that you like. And, but at the end of the day, those things might not matter. So what I'm feeling is that the things that matter the most to you, and only you know what those things are for you, the things that matter the most to you, prepare for those things. You know how like a year ago everybody was running out and hoarding toilet tissue. All right, so let's take that same concept, but to in areas of life that matter even more, that are more important. So, the things that are most important to you, protect those things, stock up on those things. And when I'm saying stock up, I'm not even talking about physical things. I'm talking about just things in general that matter to you. Or, if it's family that matters to you, make sure you're spending time with them. If there are relationships that matter to you that you haven't really put energy towards, start putting energy towards those things. Like, stock up on those sorts of things, if that makes sense. Stock up on the things that actually matter the most to you. Now, all the other things that we like to enjoy in this life, they'll come, they'll be there. But the things that matter most, I guess ultimately what I'm saying is it's time to invest into those things, and stock your energy into those things, stock your love, stock your attention, into those things. I'm gonna leave that there. I might come back to it on another day, but I was just looking at my notes and make sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna stop right there. So let me go ahead and do the tarot wisdom for the day. Here we go. Okay, so the first card up is the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups speaks about emotional fulfillment, emotional and spiritual fulfillment, and the lack thereof, which kind of ties into what I was speaking about. When you look at this card, all of this person's cups are full. All of, life is good. They probably got a good job. They might have a decent relationship. They may, have, they're not necessarily going hungry. They may not be the richest. They may not be the poorest. They may not be the happiest. They're not the saddest, whatever, like their basic needs are met, but yet they are still feeling spiritually and emotionally unfulfilled, because what fulfilled them in the past is no longer fulfilling. What brought them joy, what brought them contentment, what brought them that sense of success, that sense of thriving as just a person, is no longer giving that to them. And so they are in pursuit of something new. And so, I feel that is kind of where we are. It's like everybody's hustling, everybody's grinding, everybody's wanting attention, everybody's, craving something that will fulfill them. And right now, the timing is saying that what has fulfilled you in the past is not going to sustain you or fulfill you going forward. And so that's why, when I spoke about those core values, and it's so serendipitous that this card even came up, but when I talked about those core values, it's very important to get in tune with those things at this time, because it's going to be that fulfills you. It's not necessarily, over the next few months, even year, it's not going to be necessarily those outward things that fulfill you. And it's so interesting because I'm not speaking against the outward things, success, or, moving up in your career, or buying, nice things and luxury things. Yeah, I'm not speaking against that at all. That's a part of life too, right? But if that's if that's all we're going for, like I want things to go back to normal so that I can continue to have that same dream that I had before, or to pursue those same those same pursuits as before. Well, if they weren't aligned to your core values then, they're not aligned to your core values now, and so going after them is not going to sustain you. It's not going to fulfill you. And so I really feel like I feel that shift has occurred. And if you're not aware that that shift has occurred, that is reminding us to go back to what matters to us at a soul level, then you could spend the next few months, the next few years trying to reclaim something old. It's making me think about it's making me think about I don't know how many of y'all used to watch like Married with Children back in the day. You remember Al Bundy would always be reliving his glory days of being this football high school football star. He always talked about, I scored 4 touchdowns in one game. Now he is like 40 something or 30 something at the time, I don't know. And he's still like, remembering the good old days instead of understanding where he was at that present moment and getting his life together in that present moment. There he was with this horrible family, this horrible house, this horrible car, this horrible job, and he's still talking about how he was this high school football star who scored 4 touchdowns in one game. He was still trying to, I know there was a comedy, but it's connecting to this, like, he's still trying to find fulfillment from that. And it's like, no, but your world has changed. You're in a whole different arena now. And I think, that's kind of where we all are at this time, that the superficial things, even just the accolades and all of those sorts of things, they're great. And those accolades will continue to come to the degree that you align to your core values. Your happiness, your success, your abundance, all of those sorts of things going forward are going to come not just from doing these superficial things, but from being aligned to what matters the most. What matters the most. And having what matters the most in our lives over the next few months to a year is going to be dependent upon us emotionally and spiritually reconnecting to those things. I think some of us have just been kind of just trying to get through life, and that's not the way to go. Life is about connection, and it's going to be those who build those strong connections with others who have those same core values who will be able not only to sustain themselves but to thrive, in the months to come. Something so much more beautiful and more glorious is coming, but like all change, it's like when you have a baby, you know what I mean? There is some level of pain associated with that change, and the pain typically is only because you're trying to shift from your old self to the new self. The 8 of Cups is sometimes can be a painful energy, and painful again is only because you got all of this here and you're still wondering, like, why am I not as fulfilled as I should be? Some of us may even have experience some successes that once we get it, we'll be like, this is it, this is how it felt. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's not about just going after things at this time. Going after things is a part of life. I'm not telling you not to do that, but it's so much bigger than that. It's about having a deeper connection with yourself, a deeper connection with the people who matter and the things that matter the most to you at this time. So let me pull one more card. Some affirmation. Wow. I am forgiving. Forgiving equals I am for giving up an old notion of myself in order to gain a new perspective. Oh my God, just take a minute, just look at that for a second. Oh my gosh, that is so dope. If that ain't in line with everything I just said, I am forgiving. Forgiving equals I am for giving up an old notion of myself in order to gain a new perspective. I think this sums up everything I was trying to say. It is not about, not having the best in life or struggle or pain. I wouldn't, I'm not ever one to really speak in terms of that. What I am saying is everything that this card is saying right here. The old notion of who you were, the old notion of way life should be, the old notion of even how to get money, how to provide your basic needs, your food, clothing, shelter, all of the things that you thought, you had to be or do in order to have what matters the most to you in life is an old perspective. We're moving into something new that requires us to be more in tune with what truly matters to us. And we can't continue to push what truly matters to us to the back burner and say, well, one day I'll spend more time with my family. One day I'll take better care of my health. One day, one day maybe I'll start that business venture that's aligned to the reason for me being here on earth to begin with, or aligned to my purpose or my destiny and all of those sorts of things. That type of thinking is done, is over. And those of us who persist in that will find the way that things are shifting very difficult, very, very difficult, because they're not really aligned to what matters most. In order to gain a new perspective, in order to get what you came here for, to be who you came here to be, and to achieve all of the things that is in your soul contract, if you will, for you to achieve, is going to take a new perspective. And I think it's going to take us, not I think, I know it's going to take us going a little bit deeper and stop doing this superficial thing of just trying to at least look the part, at least look the part, at least look like we're, succeeding and advancing. It's going to take going deeper, but going more simpler, whatever. It's going to be about going deeper to our core values. And what we find there will be so simple and so amazingly uncomplicated that we'll be glad that we allowed ourselves to do so. So I hope with all the camera changes and shifts and rambling I did, that you received the core of the message that I wanted to share with you all today. So that is it. I will be back later this week for a tarot talk. It will probably be shorter than this one. But until then, as always, I'm wishing you so much peace and love.